Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Guys, good morning.
Why you got on that color? Copying me. You know, I'm the first one with no tie.
Are you self-conscious that you come over to the dark side over here? Now you don't wear a tie?
I'll be back at the tie tomorrow.
Because a tie is like kissing your sister? Is that right?
I'll be back at the tie the next 2 days.
Okay.
I think
you look great like that.
Yeah, I like the look. I feel like, Skip, you're inspiring something from Shannon. Interesting. Guys, we are just a little bit away from the draft. We're just over 2 weeks away, so we got to talk about it, including Justin Fields. So at one point, Fields was widely regarded as the second best prospect behind Trevor Lawrence on many big boards, but the Ohio State quarterback stock has begun to trickle down a bit, with some now looking at him as only the fifth best quarterback behind Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, and Trey Lance. Fields is having his second pro day today. And the 49ers, Patriots, Jets, Falcons, Broncos, and Panthers are all reported to be in attendance. So, Shannon, what does this tell you?
Well, Skip, this is why if you have a high grade and you're able to come out, that's why you come out. Because there's nothing that can good about you going back to school is that your value, they'll find another way to pick you apart. Because I think that's what they do, Skip. They just tell you all the things and find all the reasons that they shouldn't draft you is how they're going to draft you. But, Skip, I don't have a problem with it because I think they're getting another look. It's kind of like, this is a huge investment. It's kind of like when you buy a house. You just make sure, okay, hon, are you sure this is the type of kitchen that you want? You like the island. You like the cabinetry. You like the bathroom. You like everything about it, Skip. This is a huge investment that we're about to undertake. Somebody's about to make a huge investment. Now, there are a couple of teams, Skip, that's back that in order to get a Justin Fields, you're going to have to move up. And when you move up, that you add pressure. When you move up to select a player, your fan base, that front office, your owner, like, okay, you moved up. Now, we mortgaged a little bit on the back end to take this guy on the front end, so you need to be right. So I don't really have a problem with this, Skip. It's just like, okay, we're going to make sure that what we saw on tape, that the throws, the footwork, and everything is spot on. So I don't really have a problem with it. I'm looking at the teams, the Broncos, they need a quarterback. 49ers, obviously, we know they're going to take a quarterback. But when you look at the Patriots, Skip, the Patriots would have to move up. I just don't believe at where they're sitting at 15, they're going to be able to get one of these quarterbacks at the 15. So they're going to have to move up and trade. And considering what they spent in free agency, and now, so not only did you spend $150, $175 million in free agency, you're going to sacrifice, next year's first-round pick and maybe even a third or something to move up into this selection. So I don't have a problem with it. I think the first two guys off the board are going to be Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson. And so now we go to that third slot. The 49ers moved up. They were, 10, 9, 10? They were down a little, 12.
12.
When you move up to 3 spot.
They gave a ton to move up.
2022 and 23 first rounders.
Yep.
Skip, you got to be right.
You better be right.
Hey, anybody else having a pro day? Because I'm going to go look at them again, too. Skip, I'm going to make sure everything is on the up and up, and I make sure I get this thing right. So I don't really have a problem with it. Guys are just doing their due diligence. But for me, Skip, I think I'm in your camp. I like these guys. I don't know if I'm in love with any of them. I think that's where I am, and I don't know, I guess Trevor Lawrence has been the unanimous, for the most part, he's on most everybody's board. He's the number one prospect. So we don't even really discuss him because everybody knows he's going to Jacksonville. But 2 through 6, 2 through 5, it's a toss-up. But I don't have a problem with this because they're just going to make sure Justin Fields is what they believe he is.
And by the way, I'm not completely sold on Trevor Lawrence. Not all the way completely 1,000%. He's going to be a star.
Right.
Okay. Back to pro days. I'm going to reiterate my position on this. Pro days are simply the biggest waste of time in all of sports, the most irrelevant exercise in all of sports. You can have them all, is a pro day. I will give you a combine because at least you're thrown into a mix with your peers competing for draft slots.
Right.
And you can watch body language of the quarterbacks are all in a group. And you can see
leader?
Who's the alpha, who takes over, whose body language stands out, who which one of those guys looks like he's the guy among the guys, right?
Yep.
Okay, I will give you that because there's actually some competition going on, and then you've got 40-yard dash competition, you got bench press competition. You can see them kind of compete against each other, albeit in shorts and T-shirts.
Correct.
When you get to a pro day, all the benefit is that it's a smokescreen opportunity for every team to show up at the pro day or not show up at the pro day to try to lead or mislead the rest of your competition as to what you're going to do.
Well, Skip, you get an extra day use of the private jet. So I think that's what they be wanting.
They do that for a fact. But think about a pro day. As you and I have agreed for years and years, the tape doesn't lie.
Right.
All you need to do is study the tape. Watch these kids in their biggest games of the year.
Right.
How do they perform against competition?
Right.
These pro days are shorts and T-shirts throwing to their receivers on their turf against air.
Right.
No defense.
Right.
And it proves what?
I agree with you, Skip. I do believe that the quarterback pro day is the most wasted pro day. At least, Skip, if it's a wide receiver or DB or any other position, Skip, the tape, I'm looking at the tape, but I want to make sure that I watch him. I mean, he looked fast on tape.
Okay.
Dude just ran 4.3. He looks explosive. He got a 40-inch, 11-foot broad jump. Skip, you want the pro day to match what you saw on tape.
Yeah.
I don't know if you necessarily get that at a quarterback. So, because what, 40? He ain't going to be ready to run no shuttle. He ain't going to be start standing long jump. Why does the quarterback need to be explosive?
I guess you can only hurt yourself if you're a quarterback because Teddy Bridgewater infamously came out wearing
no gloves.
No gloves, right? There's no gloves?
Right.
I can't remember his gloves or no gloves.
He threw with a glove in college, but then his pro day, he threw without it. And
he had a bad day.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe he had a fight with his girlfriend the night before. Who knows what could happen? Okay, so you're a little off. But if Justin Fields misses one deep throw, oh, my God.
Yeah.
He looks like a second-round pick to me. No, he doesn't. Watch the tape. Look at the numbers. See what he did.
Right.
Okay, now, big picture. This is turning into as fascinating a quarterback draft as I can ever remember because they're all so close to each other.
Correct.
Again, I don't hate any of them. I've told you before, like Drew Lock, I just didn't like him coming in. I said no to Drew Lock, and I think he'll be forever hanging over your head in Denver. He's not the answer.
Right.
I told you Dwayne Haskins preceding Justin Fields at Ohio State. I just didn't like him. I just didn't see enough. I didn't see the right body language, and he just can't hack it. But these kids all got a chance. But I'm not just bona fide sold on any of them. I don't dismiss them, but what does history scream at you about these five players?
Well, the three of us not going to be very good.
That's correct. Because I saw a stat the other day. 42% of all first-round quarterbacks ever drafted never made it to a second contract with the team that drafted them. That's almost half the quarterbacks failed with the team that drafted them. That doesn't mean they didn't go on someplace else and do okay. See Ryan Tannehill, right?
Yeah, but that don't do anything for me. I'm the one that drafted you. I needed you to have that success with me, not somewhere else.
Okay, well, that's unfathomable to me that the odds are half will miss. So of the five, three could, or at least two are going to be swings and misses.
Correct.
Okay, so let's quickly run through the order. Justin Fields. Okay, the QBR was sensational. It was second only to Mac Jones's. And the ability to run with the ball, it's not, I'm not talking about Michael Vick here, but he timed 4.45.
Yeah.
And that was the fastest time since any quarterback draftable in the first round of a first-round possibility since RG3. Is that pretty? That's pretty great.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll buy that. But the two games that stick in our craw are, we saw the Indiana game, and it became a shootout. It was 42-35, and he threw 3 interceptions, and it troubled me. It bothered my eyes to watch the game. And then Northwestern really bothered me because you could write it off as he just had a bad day at the office, and maybe he did. But, man, the numbers of the Northwestern game are 12 of 27 for 114, no touchdowns, 2 picks, a QBR of 33 on a scale of 0 to 100. That's a bad game in a big game.
Yeah, in college, Skip, a quarterback shouldn't have below 60.
Okay. Okay, then I saw him against Clemson 2 years ago, and he was blah. And then he bounced back against Clemson this year. And he threw 6 touchdowns.
And that kind of like, okay, yeah, he's the second pick in the draft. After that game, you heard everybody say, yeah, he's the second best quarterback.
If I just showed you that tape,
right,
you might be talking about the first pick.
Absolutely.
Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, and then he caps it off with the game against Alabama. It was just another blowout game, and they were overmatched, obviously, across the ball.
He wasn't terrible, but he wasn't like...
He didn't light it up. And Alabama just took the game over, and Devontae Smith just owned the whole night, right? Okay, so what do I do with those 2 troubling games, really 3 troubling games, where you just say, okay, so what? Well, here's what. The rest of it is so great to me. That once Mel Kiper yesterday posted his latest mock and had New England trading from 15, as you point out, all the way up to 10, where my Cowboys are sitting, the proposal would be give my Cowboys their 1 next year. Cowboys would move back to 15 and take whichever DB is left, but you're not going to probably get Patrick Surtain. Mel had him taking J.C. Horn. Caleb Farley probably still sitting there, and he got good medicals back yesterday for his microdiscectomy that he had, his back surgery. And it sounds like they say 100%. But the point is, to go up to 10 to get Justin Fields, and I'm thinking, is Justin Fields really going to last to 10? Seriously. I asked that very serious question. So I propose this to you. The Jets, obviously, arch rivals within that division of Bill Belichick. If they hear the much admired, much trusted Mel Kiper say Belichick's hot to trot up even to 10 to get Justin Fields, why wouldn't the Jets sit back and say, why aren't we taking Justin Fields at 2?
Well, Skip,
seriously.
Well, here's the thing. Is that I got to go by my board and what I identify, and I can't worry about the grade that somebody else has.
Well, trust me, when Belichick speaks, they're going to listen.
But here's the thing. We've been seeing things that Belichick's drafts haven't been good in the last decade.
I know, but he's a direct threat to you in the division.
But do we really want to trust? He's drafted 2 Pro Bowl players since 2010.
I got it.
A linebacker and a punter.
Okay, I am so with you on that. But you can't tell me it won't influence them a little bit to look over their shoulder and second guess, because everybody has not just penciled in Zach Wilson to the Jets. They have inked it in. They've etched it in stone.
They've engraved it. They've already
engraved it. And I'm saying, why exactly? Okay, we both watch Coastal Carolina. Is that his one bad day at the office? Again, they don't play a great schedule, but they got thrown into, with COVID circumstances, to a game against Coastal that they took on the fly, played at a neutral site in South Carolina. It was bizarre. It was crazy. And all of a sudden, Zach Wilson looked pretty ordinary.
Yeah, he did. He looked ordinary.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible, but he was 19 to 30 for 240 through one touchdown to 1 pick. All the other games, he's thrown like 5 touchdowns in. Had a QBR of 68, and they lost 22-17. Okay. Is that a reason to dock him some?
No.
Maybe not. And again, what did I see in the bits and pieces? I didn't watch him closely, I'll be the first to admit. But I saw a little bit of a high wire act. I saw Daredevil. I saw a little Favre going on here and there where he'll try things. And he's mobile in that he's mobile in the pocket. He didn't run a 40, so I don't know, but he's 6'2", 214, so he's got decent size.
Yeah, he got decent size. Yeah, plenty big enough.
But do I really think he's better than Justin Fields? My instinct is telling me I'm not sure about that.
I think the thing is, Skip, let me go back. That's 2013, Coach Belichick has only drafted 2 Pro Bowl players, Jamie Collins and the punter. Skip, if you look at it, if you just look at it and you take it on a game-by-game basis, Mac Jones has the best tape.
And by the way, quick other 2 points on Zach Wilson that are very troubling to me.
What are they?
He twice had surgery while he was a starting quarterback at BYU for a torn labrum, I think he had in high school that he tried to play with his first year at BYU, and at the end of the year he had it fixed. And then he broke his wrist and had surgery on his wrist. It only cost him 4 games, but he did have 2. So if he's going to be a high-wire actor in pro football, is he going to get beat up and hurt? As the Jets quarterback? Maybe.
Skip, when you look at all these guys complete 60% or better of their passes. Justin Fields is 70.2. Zach Wilson is 73.5. Trevor Wilson is 69. Mac Jones was just out of this world at 7.
He was out of this world, and he had the best talent. But he was spectacular.
He was.
He was flawless.
Yes, 41-4, 4,500 yards.
Fairly small body of work.
And that might be concerning to a lot of people.
He did start 3 games for 2 of the year before and did very well in all 3, and then just lit it up
So we're looking at, what, about 16, 17 starts? Because he filled in. Right, he came in after he Tua got hurt against Mississippi State, I think. Zach Wilson, I agree with you that BY system is, everybody runs the BY system now, Skip. Back in the 90s, only BYU was running, just throwing the ball all over the place. Everybody puts 4 wides on the field and just throw the ball up all over the place. Skip, I just think that Trevor Lawrence, he's just so prototypical. If you were drawing up a quarterback, you say, what do you want your quarterback to look like? I think I want him to be about 6'5", probably 240, 245.
Okay.
He doesn't have to run 4.4, but if he can run 4.6-ish, 4.7, I can live with that.
Okay.
Plenty good enough arm. Trevor Lawrence is it.
He's 6'6", weighs 213, so he's a little on the skinny side.
He's a little thin. Wow, he's more like a basketball player than a football player.
I agreed, and I did see a bad stat the other day that he completed all of 51% of his passes against man coverage.
Well, that's going to be a problem. Because you're going to see a lot of man coverage. And in the NFL, you throw guys open. Guys just don't get open and you hit them like they do in college, Skip. You can diagram. You might have a couple of games where, Skip, a couple of plays in a game where the guy just scot-free. Guy slips down, guy, blows a coverage or something like that. But more times than not, you have to throw guys open. And so that's why teams lean so heavily on accuracy. How fast can you process information? How fast can the ball get out of your hand? How accurate can it be getting to the destination?
Which brings me to the biggest X factor of these quarterbacks, Trey Lance, North Dakota State. I must admit, I know him only from YouTube, but the more I watch YouTube, the more I'm falling in love, man, because it is spectacular. And by the way, speaking of size, we're talking 6'4", 224.
Wow. I would have never guessed he was, just watching him, I would have never guessed he was that big.
Didn't run a 40, so I'm not sure, but he looks like, I know he can run because I see the numbers. The numbers leap off the page from the 1 year he started, which was 2019, obviously. He started 16 games. They won all 16. They won the FCS National Championship. He went 28 touchdown passes to 0 interceptions. 0 interceptions. He ran for 1,100 yards, and in college, they take your sack yards off your rushing total. So that's even more impressive with 14 rushing touchdowns. And I am addicted to watching his YouTube tape because could we see some of this? He just runs over DBs at the goal line. It just, whoever's in his way, he crushes. Look, there's one crushed right there. There are a couple more. There's a kid at the 1 yard line that he just crumples at the 1.
Yes, Skip, you don't want to try to make
Look at that guy. That's it right there.
Skip, you don't want to try to make a living doing that.
I know you don't, but again, is he just man among boys at that level? I don't think so. I just think he's really talented. He just crushes these guys. We're talking about it's Cam-esque, except he's a little faster and quicker than Cam was at Auburn.
I think the thing is, Skip, is that when you see a guy at this level, and you're thinking about drafting him, especially extremely high, did he dominate? He dominated. You look at the guys
like the arm is something now.
You mentioned FCS, Skip. Walter Payton, Jerry Rice, all the Doug Williams. They dominated. So that's what you want to see. If the guy's playing on that level, and we're talking about, okay, he should be a high draft pick. What did he dominate? I'm not talking about, put up stats. He dominated. And that's what you have to do.
ESPN did a great piece that I saw last night on him and his background. So he grows up in Minnesota, and his dream is to play quarterback for the University of Minnesota, and they don't want him to play quarterback. They tell him safety or linebacker. And he is devastated and winds up at North Dakota State. And even he's biracial parents, black father, white mom. And his dad was great talking about, we're sitting in the stands the first year he started at North Dakota State, and they're looking at each other like, oh, and he said that word, oh, bleep. Like, this is something that we're watching.
He's really good.
He didn't even know for sure from high school he's that. Well, how many times have you seen a kid just flourish at the next level where he just comes from nowhere and just suddenly grows up right before your very eyes? I think Trey Lance was growing up right before your very eyes, and he is on a mission to prove, of all places, the University of Minnesota, dead wrong. And here he is as the X factor. Mel Kiper's got Atlanta taking him either at 4 or if they trade back to 6. Because you got Matt Ryan for a year or 2, and this would be the one kid who might need to sit and watch.
Well, that's the thing, Skip. When you're going to take one of these guys, and a guy like this that's not in a Power 5 program, Skip, and so you don't have scouts there every single day. You got to do your due diligence. Because you can't, Skip, I don't know, maybe front offices or fan bases are more forgiving if you take a guy from Alabama or Michigan and he flames out, as opposed to, man, you reach for that guy. You shouldn't have got the guy from the FCS or Division II.
And again, I can't know for sure. I'm just telling you what my eye test is telling me off those highlights. It's a big wow factor.
Yes.
I think there's big ability here and high character here, and you could have something. His, if I can use the Mel Kiper Memorial term, his upside might be the highest of all these kids.
Well, Skip, I think the thing is, you go back to the '83 draft with the Elways, the Marinos, and the Kellys. Elway was universally regarded as number one.
No doubt.
I think Trevor Lawrence is kind of universally regarded as number one. And then that's where you got like, okay, now Danny ended up, he and John with the cream of the crop of the class. But John went first. Dan went all the way down to the bottom at Miami.
I know why, but
and then
it's a whole long story.
And then you had Jim Kelly. 3 guys went to the Hall of Fame. And you had Kenny O'Brien, had a nice career. He wasn't Todd Blackledge. No. I think Tony Eason was also in that draft.
He was.
So
Dan Marino struggled at the end of that year. That team fell apart. I covered them in a bowl game against SMU of Dickerson and James, and he was awful. It was a miserable day at the Cotton Bowl. So my point is, it looked like he was fading, and that's how he faded all the way down to the bottom of the draft.
Bottom of the draft. So, and I think because these guys are so close, you like, Skip is like, you know what? I kind of want this guy, but if I can. It's like, I'm going to take this guy, but there's a chance that the guy that we're passing on is going to be better than the guy that we're taking. And that's just, you would like to have a situation where the guy just falls in your lap, like Brady. Brady just fell in New England's lap. There are a lot of all these Spurgeon wins and all these other guys killed with Tim Couch. I think Tim Couch was the first pick.
He was the first overall. Talk about a swing and a miss between him and
Courtney Brown. That's what set the Browns back for all those years, Skip. Think about all the swings and misses they had at the top of the draft.
Now they got Baker.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
And they're good.
But I think Justin Fields, Skip, is also fighting the quarterbacks that's come before him at Ohio State. The Troy Smiths, the R.J. Barrett, the Braxton Millers, the Dwayne Haskins.
It's not a pretty sight.
It goes all the way back to Art Schlichter. He was terrible, too. But he had a problem. He couldn't stay at the casinos.
You got it.
I do believe Fields is in a league of his own in terms of those previous Ohio State quarterbacks. And did you guys mention Trey Lance? He scheduled a second pro day for April 19th as well. So I read that same article, Skip, about the Minnesota connection.
Wow.
It feels like because he was doubted, there's going to be that level of motivation. You always talk about the intangibles. Baker Mayfield having that desire. He is a big question mark for me. I'm curious where he ends up.
No mercy.
So the Lakers beat the Hornets 101-93 yesterday to finish their 7-game road trip with a 4-3 record. But Andre Drummond is still struggling on offense since joining the purple and gold, following up a 3-point game against the Knicks by scoring just 4 points on 2 of 7 shooting in last night's win. Drummond addressed his struggles after the game. Take a listen for yourself.
Offensively, it's probably just the worst I've played in my career. I'm still trying to figure it out here. I'm not allowing it to take me out of my game. I know why I'm here, which is help this team defensively. Offensively, it'll come for me.
Okay, Shannon, how concerned are you?
I'm not concerned at all.
Not at all?
No, because guess what? The 2 guys that he came to play with have yet to play. If he's struggling like this, when AD and LeBron get back, wake me up. But it's hard for him to get a rhythm, Skip, because if I'm not mistaken, they've had a different lineup in every game in which he's been in. Now, the Lakers have never really had a guy since the players that have been there had a guy that needs the ball down on the block. LeBron gets the ball at the high post. LeBron gets the ball on outside. AD, the same thing. Drummond is a guy that needs the ball on the low block. And they're struggling to get it to him. And they don't understand that, Skip, okay, the guy's running up and down the court. He's rebounding. He's challenging shot. Sometimes you got to reward him, even though you got a set like, okay, we got this set called, no, hey, Vogues, we need to get Dre. We need to get Dre a couple of touches. So
he's now Vogues?
Yeah, Vogues. We need to get Dre a couple of touches on the block. But like he said, he knows why he's there. The rebounders hadn't stopped. He's still giving the Lakers 12 rebounds a game. Sure, you'd like to have him have somewhere between 8 and 12 points a game. But if he can continue to challenge shots, make it difficult inside for people, if he continues to give us those 12 rebounds, we're going to be just fine, because it doesn't matter what he's like playing with Tucker and Caruso and Kuzma and all those guys. It only matters if he still looks like this offensively when AD and LeBron comes. So I'm not concerned about Andre Drummond's offensive game because it only matters once the big two comes back.
Well, I thought Rondo could get him the ball right where... Oh, wait a second. Rondo's not there anymore.
No,
he's a Clipper.
Right.
And the Clippers have won 6 straight with Rondo. Oh, sorry. I digress.
Well, they had won 4 straight before Rondo got into the lineup. But okay. Go ahead. I see your point. You're trying to go.
Yeah. So, Kareem Abdul-Drummond, as I call him, the Lakers' savior, has now scored 3 points at Madison Square Garden and 4 points in a win. I'll give you that, in a win at Charlotte.
How many rebounds he had in no game?
And he had some rebounds. He had, 12 last night? Yeah. Huh. Well, that's interesting because Bismack Biyombo had 12 and Caleb Martin had 10, starting at guard for the Charlotte Hornets. So it wasn't like Andre the Giant was dominating the post.
Well, also, Skip, the last couple of games, Trez has not been himself. He's struggling offensively, and he also hasn't been able to get on the glass like he normally does, but he has a lot of turnover. So Trez hasn't played as well as we like to see him play the last 2 games. But Andre Drummond's going to be fine because once AD comes back, once LeBron comes back, the floor will be spaced a little better. The little guys won't be able to get their hands in there and try to get the ball when he puts it on the floor. So don't worry about what you see right now. It only matters what it's going to be like at the end of the month when old Goat and Baby Goat is back.
Okay. Well, just a day ago, I read a story in which Andre Drummond said that he had perfected his ability to finish while he was a Cavalier, that he'd worked hard on finishing at the rim.
Right.
And then I'm thinking, well, 3 points and 4 points. And I thought, wait a second. You perfected your ability to finish for a team that dumped you. They just said, we're done with you.
Yeah, but Skip, that don't mean just because someone moves on from you, that doesn't mean that you don't work on your game while you're there. Okay, once they said, look, we're going to move in a different direction, we're not going to play you, he still practiced. He still worked on his game. He still perfected his craft. So even though his craft was no longer, his services would no longer be used in Cleveland, he knew he was going to get bought out or he would get traded and he would need to go somewhere and to be able to play.
I'm just having a hard time computing the fact that you have called this man the Lakers' savior and that the Cleveland Cavaliers, who aren't very good, decided to cut bait with him. So their reject is your savior?
But here's the thing. Look at Dwight Howard. How many teams? Memphis didn't even want Dwight Howard. Atlanta moved on. Charlotte moved on. Houston moved on. L.A. moved on. Orlando moved on.
No, but he had a late career rebirth with you. Okay,
so what about JaVale? How many teams had JaVale McGee been on before he came to the Lakers? So are you telling me that Andre Drummond can't give us that, what they gave us last year?
You didn't call JaVale or Dwight your savior last year.
Skip, here's the thing. We need size. We need somebody. Look, what they thought they were going to get from Marc Gasol, they have not been able to get. This guy can play the pick and roll. He can hedge. He can also hedge and then get back and take away the roll. Andre Drummond is a better player at this current juncture than Marc Gasol. He's a better offensive player. He's a better defensive player. He's a better rebounder. That's what the Lakers need. Somebody that if they go against Nurkic, if they go against Yoke, if they go against somebody, DeAndre Ayton, he can battle them 22 to 26 minutes on a nightly basis. That's what the Lakers need. Skip, he doesn't have to be Shaq. He doesn't have to be Kareem. He just has to be better than what they had.
What I want to know, bottom line, is how concerned you are with the nickname that he brought with him from Detroit, because the best part of that post-game interview last night was the first time I saw him talk at length.
Yeah, he's very personable.
He was very personable, actually, but he talked about LeBron asking him about the nickname that he brought. If we could see that clip, please.
I don't know where that came from. Bron came up to me one day and said, yo, is your nickname Big Penguin? I said, man, I don't know where that came from or how it started or who came up with the name. All I know is somebody must have found out that penguins are one of my favorite animals, and it kind of just, I guess, put 2 and 2 together.
Are you good with it? Do you like the nickname? Are you happy with it? Or
I think I need a more aggressive name than Big Penguin. But for the kids, you can call me that. The kids can call me that.
So you've been perpetuating that, Skip. You call him man a Big Penguin.
Where did that come from? So he does love the movies Happy Feet and March of the Penguins.
Right.
Great movies.
Yes.
And he is infatuated with the penguins as a species. Other animals he loves, I'm sure. But the point is, it stuck in Detroit that he was called by his teammates the Big Penguin. Right. So LeBron, to his credit, walks up early on and says, wait a second, is that really your nickname? Yeah. Well, don't you think he needs a more aggressive nickname?
He didn't say, that's my big nickname. He says, I don't really know how that came to be. Skip, anytime you get a nickname, and being from the South, we give everybody a nickname, and something you wonder, like, how did you get that name? And then how did it stick? Because there's a lot of times, Skip, I've given guys nicknames in college, and here it is 30-plus years later, and they still go by that nickname. So it's hard to shake a nickname once you get it. I mean, it's just like, Skip, you couldn't shake Skip. Nobody ever called you by your good bar.
I was born with a nickname.
Yeah, but that's
what I got named that at birth because my father called my mother when they were dating, whatever they were doing, courting at that point.
Called you Skip.
The skipper. You're the skipper of the ship. Right. And then the day I was born, they named me after my father, John Edward II.
Right.
But my mother immediately said, here's your little skipper.
Right.
And that was it.
Exactly.
And that was it. I never got called John one day in my life. So I was stuck with the nickname from day one, literally day one.
And that's kind of how it happens, Skip. It's kind of hard. You get a nickname. Your family start calling you that. That's why everybody else started calling you that, because your mom and dad and your brothers and sisters started calling you Skip. It's like, okay. So that's how it is. You get a nickname.
I don't mind Skip, but if I were called the Big Penguin, I don't think I would love that.
Well, look, Skip, look. Shaq had a bunch of nicknames, and all of them fitted. The Diesel, the Big Cactus, all those other names. Look, the man says he wants a more aggressive nickname. When he and LeBron get back, I'm going to start working on that, and I got something coming for you, Dre.
Really?
Yeah.
I found his demeanor in his interview to be classy and sophisticated, and erudite.
You would never expect a man that size to be like as outgoing and it's kind of like, but he's funny, he's human, he got a great sense of humor. You wouldn't expect that because, like I said, he was playing in Detroit and he played in Cleveland. He ain't getting a whole lot of interviews. Even when he get those 2020 ball games, Skip, ain't nobody cares. But now he on the big stage, showtime.
Well, and that's why I have pity for him.
Don't have pity for him.
If you think the pressure is getting to him now,
ain't no pressure.
Wait until the quote-unquote GOAT and the quote-unquote baby GOAT are flanking him on the basketball court. That's pressure.
Wait till that old master key come and unlock that offensive potential that Dre got.
Really?
Yeah, he coming.
Rondo ain't walking through that door again.
So not Rondo better than Bron. So not Rondo better than Bron.
That's setting the table, he is.
Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that.
He set the table for Bron in the finals last year. That's all I saw.
Skip, why would you do that?
Well, you know what he's doing for the Clippers.
Skip, he's doing a great job for the Clippers. But see, doing a great job for the Clippers and then talk about all of a sudden he set the table for LeBron and he's better than setting the table. Don't do that. Don't do that. Two things can be true. He can be doing a great job for the Clippers, but not what you said he did for the Lakers. Okay?
Final point. Your savior, the Big Penguin, is 0-8 in playoff games.
He said he wanted
0-8.
Skip, he said he wanted a more aggressive name. You're not helping the call by continue to call it the Big Penguin.
All right, he's Andre the Giant. Okay.
I was impressed, though, by his interview. I feel like I just want to continue talking to him, have more conversations. And, Shannon, you've given me a lot of nicknames that I have to stick with. Jumpsuit Jen, Hallmark Jen, Midwest Mary. I mean, those are just, those are my names now.
Yeah.
It's official. Okay, we have all heard reports that Jerry Jones has become, quote, infatuated with Kyle Pitts ahead of the draft. And now it sounds like the Florida tight end is embracing the attention. In an interview earlier this week, Pitts said it's an honor for him to say that. Dallas is a great team. If I could have the opportunity to play for the Cowboys, it would be a great thing. Dallas has the 10th selection in the draft 15 days from now. And while Pitts isn't expected to still be on the board then, didn't stop Jerry and the Cowboys from reaching out and having a conversation with the prospect. So, Shannon, what do you read into this?
Well, I think these guys coming out, everybody says, I would love to play for the Cowboys. I'd love to play for the Falcons. I'd love to play for the Bengals. Hell, Skip, nobody's even held out from the Bengals. The Bengals had the #1 overall pick, and everybody still go there. Dan Wilkinson, John Carter, Joe Burrow. Only a handful of players have said, you know what, I'm not going there. Bo Jackson did that to Tampa. John Elway did that to the Colts. And Eli Manning did that to the Giants. But I can't think of any, maybe you can, where a player says, you know what, I refuse to go to there. So for the most part, when you're coming out, Skip, you just want to get drafted. You want to go somewhere. But I think Kyle Pitts wants to be the highest drafted tight end in the modern era. That distinction right now belongs to Mike Ditka, who went with the 5th pick if I'm not mistaken, the 5th pick to the Chicago Bears. He'd like to be no worse than 5th. There have been a couple of guys that's gone 6th. I think Vernon Davis went 6th to the 49ers. I think Winslow Jr. Went 6th to the Cleveland Browns.
So Kuiper now has him going 4.
4, right,
Yeah.
right. And so I think that's what he wants. Skip, for me, I get it. You saw what they did last year with CeeDee Lamb. Skip, you need defense. How much offense? And I get it, Jerry wants to be box office. Jerry loves when he had the triplets. Because, Skip, if you really think about it, that's what people really talked about. They talked about Emmett, because Emmett was winning MVPs, and Troy and Michael Irvin. But that defense was loaded. The years they won, they never had a defense outside of the top 5 in scoring defense. That's how you win championships. Brady could have threw for whatever he wanted to, but what was it? When the rubber needed to meet the road, what was Tampa's defense doing? They were shutting people down. Aaron Rodgers had opportunity after opportunity in the red zone. They said, you'll get nothing and you'll like it. Patrick Mahomes, they shut it down. Drew Brees, they shut it down. Jerry, I get that the guy is skilled. I believe he's better at his position than any other player that's coming out in the draft are at their position. I truly believe that, Skip. But that's not what they need. It's almost like, Skip, I need a house. I ain't got no shelter, but I'm going to go get a car. So you going to sleep in the car? Man, go get you a house. Jerry, it just makes no sense. And Jerry always is constantly doing this because I believe Jerry would rather have the circus, fun, everybody coming to see. But, Jerry, you lose it. Did you see what happened? Your team gave up 300 yards rushing. They gave up 294. They gave up 250. It was embarrassing. But you got CeeDee Lamb. You got 3 receivers that might get you 1,000. You got Zeke. Jerry, you better go get your defensive player. Now, I don't know if you're going to trade out of that spot, but if it was me, I'm going to get Pat Surtain. I'm going to get a defensive guy. I'm going to get Micah Parsons. I'm going to get somebody that's going to help that side of the football because I believe that is a greater need than having more entertainment on the offensive side of the football.
Okay. I will speak on Kyle Pitts in just a moment. But first, I need to speak on my man, Jerry Jones. Gerald Wayne Jones Jr. Spent thousands of hours around him as I wrote my 3 books on the Cowboys. I know him pretty well. I would go so far as to say I know him very well.
Yep.
When I read this story from Kyle Pitts yesterday, honestly, I hung my head because he's still at it. He's not just the GM in name only. He is the owner and the operator of the Dallas Cowboys to this day.
Yes.
He is.
Yes.
My team has not made it back to an NFC championship game since the 1995 season.
Yeah.
Think about that. Try to get that in your head because I can't get it to go in the back of my brain, in my psyche. It rejects the notion America's team hasn't been in an NFC championship game since the 95 season.
Right.
In large part because of this man and his involvement in this operation.
Yes.
So here we go with another draft. And he has fallen in love with another player who deserves the love.
Right.
But they're not in position to acquire him, obviously. They would have to trade up and give quarterback ransom to go get Kyle Pitts, who, as I just pointed out, Mel Kiper is now going 4th overall to the Dolphins on a trade up.
Right.
Well, okay, so I told you 2 months ago that Kyle Pitts will be the best player at his position in the draft. And I told you 2 months ago, because there was no buzz about him, that if he somehow falls to 10, which seemed not impossible at that point, because some defensive players will start to go in the late 10s. If you got 5 quarterbacks and maybe an offensive lineman or 2 go, but certainly 1 goes, and then some defensive players go, well, then you got a shot at Kyle Pitts at 10. And I told you then, and you laughed at me, if he falls in your lap at 10, I'm just taking him because he's just too good not to take. And I love Patrick Stan. I pretty much inked him in at number 10 right now. But if Kyle Pitts falls, well, he's not going to fall because all of a sudden he's the hottest name in the draft. But what discourages me to the point of depression is that Jerry is still so actively involved in the drafting. Again, Will McClay has done a great job. And again, to Jerry's credit, in his defense, you know the stat going into last season, over the previous decade, they had drafted the second most Pro Bowlers in all of football to the Kansas City Chiefs. So something's been going pretty right in the draft for Jerry and Will. I think it goes in that order because Jerry's got final say.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and he used to tell me for the books I wrote that during the early drafts with Jimmy Johnson, he would let Jimmy run it, but he would, as he always told me, coach the coach. That's what Al Davis taught him. You have to coach the coach.
Yeah.
So Jerry still retained veto power.
Right.
So he would either encourage or discourage Jimmy as players sort of fell in the draft, like Emmitt Smith started falling in the draft toward their spot. So they traded from, 21 up to 17 to catch the falling star, who was Emmitt Smith. Well, that was a pretty great move, wasn't it?
Yes.
To get the all-time leading rusher. Okay. Well, Jerry takes some credit for that because he's like, go. Yeah, do it.
Right.
Whatever it takes. And Jimmy had his early draft chart. He was ahead of the curve on that, where he knew exactly what was a good deal to trade up, what it was required.
And plus the fact, Skip, Jimmy was coming from college. Jimmy had recruited the Emmitt Smith. He had recruited the Russell Marlins and all these guys. So
he played against him, coached against him.
So he knows that, okay, that guy's an NFL player.
Jimmy was obviously at Miami, Emmitt at Florida.
Florida, correct. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So now, this is to the point of this elbow rubbing side of Jerry. He likes to buddy up to the stars. And so he's now infatuated with Kyle Pitts, which I get, but it's almost like he's a super fan.
Right.
Got to meet him. Got to talk to him. I don't know if he went to Dallas. I don't know. But did they have to do it virtual?
I think it's virtual.
Did they Zoom it?
Skip,
knowing Jerry, he would send the jet for him.
You know what's going to happen. Jerry's going to be like, they're not going to draft him. He's going to be gone. And Jerry's going to tell you he thought about drafting, just like he told you about Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
He did.
I really wanted him.
He did.
He wanted Paxton Lynch.
He did.
And he wanted Johnny Manziel, but it was reported that Steve said, "Nah, Daddy. Nah, Daddy."
I believe that story to be true.
I believe it to be true,
and
too.
Guess who they took?
They took Zach Martin,
and
go to the Hall of Fame.
He's going to go to the Hall of Fame one day.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So, way to go.
Right,
so
way to go, Steven.
So maybe Steven coaches the GM. You know, maybe he has the veto power a little bit where he can talk his dad off the ledge.
Well, Steven forgot to take Jerry's cell phone. Jerry got 2 cell phones. Steven thought he had taken one, and Jerry got the other one that called Kyle. Hey, Kyle, how you doing?
Oh, but even we're still in the backside of the pandemic.
Right.
I'm not going to be surprised if we hear that he flew Kyle Pitts to Dallas.
I mean,
is it against the rules, or I don't know. I don't know if Jerry has any rules. And in Texas right now,
there ain't no rules
I don't
in
think
Texas.
there are no rules.
There ain't no rules in Texas. There's a couple of states there are no rules.
So I would not be surprised if Jerry had Kyle Pitts over to the mansion for supper, as he calls it.
Well, Skip, there are rules that people just don't adhere to the rules. Because Georgia has been open since April of last year. Florida has been open since April of last year. So has Texas.
Okay.
There are a few states. Everybody's not like California, Skip. When they say they shut it down, they shut it down for real.
Okay, I got it. So it tore me up yesterday when we heard that Mel Kiper's latest mock had, and again, this is just Mel's educated guess, obviously, New England trading with Dallas to go up to 10, Dallas back to 15.
But you didn't like that.
I didn't like it because Patrick Surtain is just a stud to me because his father was a stud. And the lineage there. What I'm eye testing, I watched a lot of Alabama games.
Yeah,
he just shuts it down.
Yeah, he's smooth. He's fluid. His transition, the way he can press, open up, change direction. Yeah, he's good.
He's
good
got
tackle.
it all. And he plays the run hard.
Yeah.
And you just watch his body language. It's like he's got this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I would like to see Skip, because he's in position. I wish he could, he needs to judge the ball a little better. His dad was a great judge of the ball. His dad if his ball touched his dad's hand, his dad was coming down with it. But if you watch him,
this
Skip,
kid, he can jump now.
Yeah. But if you watch him, Skip, the way his technique, he's fundamentally sound. He can transition. He can open up. He can press. He can play off. I mean, he's more, Coach Saban like to press his corners and, try to get after the quarterback. But I love the kid, too.
But what killed me about Mel's scenario was that That left Patrick Surtain for the Eagles at 12. That would just kill me.
Yeah.
If Patrick Surtain came back to haunt me for the next 12 years.
Because now, Skip, you pair him with Darius Slay. So you got Slay on one side, you got Surtain on the other.
No. Stay. Take Patrick Surtain. Who needs the one next year? This is the year.
Hey, I'm surprised you say, hey, if there's a quarterback there, Jerry, take the quarterback.
No
mercy. Aaron Rodgers' second week as Jeopardy guest host is underway, and the praise keeps piling up for the QB's job so far. In a recent interview, the game show's executive producer, Mike Richards, said, quote, "What I find fascinating about Aaron is his second career could be better than his first," implying the 37-year-old reigning MVP could end up being the long-term solution to replace the late and great Alex Trebek. Check out another viral moment from the show yesterday.
In the 1960s, these Midwesterners earned 5 NFL championship trophies. Green Bay Packers. Dennis, go
Try
again,
title
I guess.
for 600.
They swept over the NBA, winning the title every year from 1959 to 1966. Eric?
What are the Boston Celtics?
Oh, you know that one, huh? Okay.
That's it.
I like it.
That's it.
It's over.
What are
He got the job.
chances he actually
Done.
becomes the full-time Jeopardy host?
He can do it. Skip, the only person that doesn't think he's good at this is you. You heard the executive producer.
Oh, me? You want to bet on that?
You and some
I'll bet
haters,
on that.
and there's some Bears fans, and
Yeah.
there's some Detroit Lions fans.
Yeah, and the woman I'm married
I
to,
was gonna
she's going
say.
to quit watching if he gets the job. That's what she told me last night. I will stop watching Jeopardy if he gets the job.
You have, what you've done is that you contaminated Ernestine's mind.
I have not.
I know.
With your foolishness.
I was hopeful. You can call her right now and ask her if I didn't say, you know what, I have high hopes. I think he'll be pretty good.
He'll be pretty
and
good.
he wasn't pretty good.
Skip, that was perfect. That's just kind of like Alex Trebek. You know, Alex would have the card in his hand, and he'd give an answer. He's like, the championship is like, Green Bay Packers. You know, it was like, he's personable enough. He has enough seriousness, and he has just that. He has it. He has it, and he gonna do it, and it gonna drive you crazy because you know who else couldn't do it. We know who couldn't do it, don't we? We know who couldn't do it. I only called the name. We couldn't do it. But look,
I don't know who you're talking about.
you do know who I'm talking about.
I don't know. Who couldn't do it?
Yes. Take one guess.
I don't know.
I actually
you
think
know.
He could be good.
I'm
at it.
lost.
I know who you're talking
Jenny know who I'm talking about.
I think Tom could be
who was a
kinda
guest
good.
host who tried?
No. He hadn't been a host, but who couldn't do what Aaron Rodgers is doing right now on Jeopardy?
Oh, Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah, Tom
He
Brady.
doesn't want to. He's
Yeah.
playing football, and he's really obsessed with playing football in ways Aaron Rodgers is not.
So he playing football over in Qatar?
Huh.
When he playing football in Qatar?
Well, he takes a little family vacation.
Okay, we on vacation.
Did you hear Aaron Rodgers' breakdown last week of, it only takes 46 days a year to tape Jeopardy? Yeah, you're doing like 5 a day for 46 days. You're going to need 2 months off after that.
No, that's okay.
He's punching the clock already. He said, I worked 187 days last year for Green
187.
Bay. That leaves me 178 to do 46 days of Jeopardy. Baloney.
Yeah, and plus another.
It's a full-time
So now
gig.
you got 130 off, so still got 4 months off. Skip,
Really?
stop hating. Look, I love it. He did a great job. He absolutely could do it because they start taping right after the season. So I don't believe he would have a problem with it, and it wouldn't take as much prep as it would now because he's trying to get his feet wet. He's trying to understand the ins and outs of it. Once he gets the hang of it, he wouldn't nearly need as much prep time, as much preparation as he needed to go into this situation. So there's no question in my mind he can do it. It's just a matter if he wants to do it. And it seems all the indication he wants to do it. So I have no problem, and he will be fantastic.
Well, I can tell you who would have a huge problem. His employer at the moment, the Green Bay
leave y'all
Packers.
anyway.
Well, that may be the case, and this may expedite you leaving Green Bay.
How about we leave right now? How about leave right now? We leave right now. Oh, what you waiting on? Don't threaten me with a good time.
These quotes that just raved about Aaron's performance were from Mike Richards, the executive producer of Jeopardy.
Yep.
And yet, in the end, Mike Richards concluded at the end of 3 days, he taped all 10 shows in 3 days. He says at the end of 3 days, Aaron was exhausted. He would be exhausted after 46 days of taping. Trust me on this.
Skip, the thing is that he doesn't understand that there's a pace. You can't get, you can't have the range. Alex Trebek had perfected this. So he knew just how much energy to exert. It's like a fighter, Skip. You have to understand how to exert. That heavyweights, you don't be bouncing around like a middleweight. You conserve that energy, and, late in the round, you try to throw that one punch. Aaron Rodgers is going to be just fine, but you keep threatening us like Green Bay got so much power. I bet you Green Bay, if you think you that bad, do it. I dare you to release Aaron Rodgers. I dare you to trade him.
So here's the irony of these quotes from Mike Richards, the executive producer of Jeopardy. Most people who don't watch Jeopardy, and most of our audience probably doesn't watch Jeopardy. It's my favorite show.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I admit it.
I'd run a category on you.
Every Friday night, Ernestine and I watch all 5 in a row. I can't watch it during the week, so I've only watched the first 5. So I didn't watch, what are we up to, Wednesday? I didn't watch Monday or Tuesday. I'll watch all 5, and I've had texts from friends saying he's gotten a little better on Monday and Tuesday.
He's getting better every day.
Maybe so. But the irony of the quotes from Mike Richards, who went so far as to say that what's fascinating about Aaron is his second career could be better than his first. That's how he gushed about Aaron. I happen to know that Mike Richards also did one of the guest host gigs for 2 weeks of shows, and he came second because Ken Jennings, the greatest Jeopardy champion, did the first 2 weeks. Mike Richards did the second, then Katie Couric, Dr. Oz, and still to come, Anderson Cooper.
Right.
Okay.
Dr. Phil did an episode, but that was before.
Okay. So my point is, of the ones I have seen so far, Mike Richards was by far the best, and he's the one gushing about Aaron Rodgers. And I assume the irony here is he would have a big say in whether Aaron becomes the permanent host, right?
Yeah, but Skip, he has a decided advantage, having been the executive producer of the show.
For those who don't know, Mike Richards was a host of a show that Beauty and the Geek on WB. He did a season of hosting on there. He was a candidate to host The Price is Right when they gave it to Drew Carey, because he produced that show. He's produced The Weakest Link, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. He is a superstar producer who also has hosting background.
I used to love The Weakest Link, too.
Okay, all right. Well, he's the brains behind the operation. So to me, he was the most comfortable. Aaron, to me, the first 5 never quite looked comfortable. It was like, look, Ma, I'm hosting Jeopardy. Hi. I'm going to replace Alex Trebek. That's how he came across to me. And he was so self-conscious.
Skip, you go Skip.
And you know what? He doesn't have it. He doesn't have easy charisma. He does not.
Skip.
I'm sorry. It was dry and it was lifeless to me. There wasn't energy and momentum.
You have to understand, he's doing something that he's not used to doing. You're not asking him to go throw a football. You're not asking him to break down a play. You're asking him to do something outside of that.
As Mike Richards said, there's no huddle, right? You don't get to huddle up before it happens.
Right. But here's the thing, though, Skip. I would like to think that from the very first time I did the show sitting across from you at the other network to where I am now, I'm light years better. I know what to expect now.
Yeah, but you're great at it. I mean, but you were from the start because it's what you know.
Yeah.
This is not, Aaron's a big fan of the show and has been since childhood, he says.
Yes.
But again, it's not what he does for a living. You were talking about what you did for a living.
But hey, he'll get better. He's getting better and better.
Okay.
Better and better. Well, but when you watch him all Friday by the 5th episode, you're going to say, get that man the job.
All I know is probably as we speak right now, Tom Brady is breaking down tape of last year.
Tom Brady's in Qatar.
Hey, he's back.
He's in Qatar.
He's been back.
He's in Qatar.
No, he's not.
I thought he had surgery.
That was last week.
What about surgery?
That was a long time ago.
No,
he's fine.
No, they just told me 2 weeks ago Tom Brady had surgery. But what about it's more serious if you only knew the seriousness of this.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, you do. You do. Yeah,
he looked fine in Qatar. In the video he posted.
Yeah, he caught her. Yeah, he looked fine.
With a limp? No.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point.
Did he just have a meniscus cleanup? Yeah.
And you still walk with a limp and you had a little meniscus cleanup?
Nope. He's going to be 1,000% okay, and he is obsessed with football in ways Aaron has never been obsessed, which is why he cleaned Aaron's clock at Lambeau after Aaron said, my dream finally came true.
The defense.
I've got a home playoff game at Lambeau.
Defense won that game.
Aaron Rodgers acted like the game was already in the bag once they got to a home NFC Championship game. You know it, and I know it. Yeah. And he spit the bit in the fourth quarter of that game because he went 4 of 11, right?
He did not play. He did not play well. He's got to get him in the end zone on that drive.
3 shots on 1st and goal from the 8, and his young coach said, I'm out. I'm kicking the field goal because Aaron couldn't get it in the end zone. Tom had a 1st and goal at the 8 and cashed on the first play.
He's gonna get the job.
Yeah.
He gonna get the job.
Tom Brady, committed, obsessed football, all football all the time. Aaron Rodgers has multiple other career opportunities he's interested in.
Hold on. Tom Brady got TB12?
That's just a sideline.
Okay, this is going to be a side, like a little side gig.
Yeah.
It's a little side hustle.
I hope he gets it.
Yeah, we're gonna get it.
Yeah, because it'll be the beginning of the end of his football career.
No.
You watch.
It's gonna be the end of us in Green Bay, but we trying to speed that up. Yep.
Remember, he's going on 38 years of age.
Don't worry about it.
Yep.
Well, Green Bay, you know what? I don't know why Green Bay would want a 38-year-old quarterback. They ought to let him go as we speak.
I'd rather have Tom Brady at 44 than Aaron at 38.
I mean, they send all these Mark Murphy. Oh, he's going to be our quarterback. Well, I don't want to talk about any particular player. Aaron Rodgers says, okay, I got a little trick for y'all. I'm going to go get this other gig, tell y'all to kick rocks.
All I know is that in Titletown, Aaron Rodgers is now 1-4 in NFC Championship games. 1-4?
Aaron Rodgers is still, he got a title. He got one. If he don't get no more, he got one. He got a regular, he got 3 MVPs and a Super Bowl MVP.
Since that long ago, far away Super Bowl, he's 7-8 in the playoffs.
Hold on, but you didn't say that. Hold on. You didn't say that when Tom Brady went 10 years without a Super Bowl.
Well, he's only got 8 now.
No, he got 7.
Well, he's about to have 8. He already told you. He's all but predicted it.
All I'm saying is he went a 10-year stretch where he didn't have one. And I don't remember you saying, no, Tom Brady's gone 10 years, a long, long time ago, far, far away. I didn't hear you say that.
Well, how many did he'd already won what?
3.
3 at that point.
Yes. But the last time he won one was 10 years ago. Who's to say Aaron Rodgers won't win another 2 in the next 5, 6 years?
Want to bet?
Would you have, hold on. When Tom Brady went for 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, were you willing to bet he would get 5 more?
Well, he should have won the one in 2007.
No, he shouldn't.
Belichick cost him. Well, he did his part. He got him up 14-10 with 2 minutes left. And Bill Belichick couldn't stop Eli from going 75 yards for the game-winning touchdown.
I love how when he wins, he was great. But when he loses, that's Coach Belichick's fault.
I thought we were talking about Aaron Rodgers, a loser.
Don't do that.
He belongs on Jeopardy.
Don't do that.
He could probably be much more successful at being a game show host.
Wait, you gonna do this? You gonna be a hater? You gonna be?
I'm not being a hater. I'm being a truth teller.
You ain't being no truth teller. The man good, Skip. It's okay.
No, it's
you can be good at more than one thing. Maybe Tom Brady's only good at football. No, Tom Brady is great at football. But maybe that's the only thing that he's great at. Okay, Tom Brady is obsessed with football. Okay, I don't have a problem with that.
I dare anybody to call up the clips of Mike Richards hosting Jeopardy and compare them to Aaron Rodgers and tell me who looks smoother.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you believe Mike Richards can do Jeopardy better than Aaron Rodgers can play football? And then call up the clip of Mike Richards playing quarterback.
What does that mean? No, I don't.
Exactly.
And it means what? It means nothing.
That's my point, Skip. You taking a guy.
He has experience at doing this.
Yes, but they probably don't want him to do it.
You don't need a celebrity hosting Jeopardy.
He won't be a celebrity.
Oh, okay.
He's a celebrity right now, but right now he's about to be the official host of Jeopardy. This is Jeopardy.
Ratings are going to plummet.
I wonder how ratings.
You a hater.
Or how they have been. But you know what? It's
our returning
refreshing.
champ is 5-time champion, Shannon Sharpe, was 72,000.
We need to bring you back on there. Aaron Rodgers posted on his social media his Jeopardy podium, and he had all these little Post-its. You guys see that? It said, stand up straight, slow down, have energy, relax. It's refreshing to see him so motivated and wanting to do such a good job. And sometimes having that other side of your life can help you in your other career, Skip. So maybe
he got no formal training because that's what you do, Jenny. You know, when you read the prompter, they say slow down. You have more time than you actually think. That's what, you breathe, be personable. They told you how to be you.
Well, we know that.
You are hosting.
I know I know.
But I hope to think that I've improved after 3 years with you guys. Like, he's not going to be perfect day one.
That was Skip. Next. You a hater. You a hater.
Skip was perfect from the very beginning, and after the show, I'm going to call Ernestine and get her thoughts on this. I want to know what she has to say.
No mercy.
Deion Sanders' impact coaching at Jackson State has started to reverberate around the college football world as another HBCU, Tennessee State, announced that Heisman Trophy winner and former All-Pro running back Eddie George would be their next head coach, despite no formal experience, really. And now it's Sanders says other NFL alumni could be looking to coach at HBCUs, saying that Hall of Famers and former Ravens Ray Lewis and Ed Reed are intrigued and that their interest, quote, could be a phenomenal thing. So, Shannon, can you see this becoming a trend with former stars taking HBCU gigs?
I think the thing is guys want to coach. And this is where they have to start. This is their launching point. This is their jumping off point, Skip. The thing is that what I found, look, Rod Woodson, who's a very good friend of mine, Skip, he was coaching at one point in time. But when you talk about this level of a player, that's not any guy, Skip. That wasn't a guy that just played. You're talking about defensive player of the years. We're talking about historically all time. All four of the guys that I just mentioned, Skip, are top 100 players in the history of the game.
Yep.
So you put one of those guys on the staff, let's just say Ray Lewis is a linebacker coach. Well, that's going to make the defensive coordinator feel some type of way because that's Ray Lewis. And the guys are going to want to listen to what he has to say. That's Ed Reed, the ball hawk. I believe I played against, watched on tape, he's the greatest safety ever played.
Agreed.
I played against Deion Sanders.
Agreed.
I talked to time.
You know what? Rod Woodson was in the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. But see, Rod, people don't realize Rod started off as a corner. Rod was defensive player of the year as a cornerback at Pittsburgh. I talk to Time once a week. That's my dog. But what happens, Skip, is that they want to coach.
You're talking about Deion Sanders.
Deion Sanders, yeah, prime. They want to coach, but someone giving them, because they're so big, the aura around them is so big, it would almost drown out the head coach, let alone the defensive coordinator. So I want to coach, I got to start here.
Okay, so you're talking about stepping stone jobs?
Yes, they got to take those. Skip, look, you think they're going to be able to get a job like Vrabel? He was the linebacker coach at Houston for 3 years. He became they demoted Romeo Crennel to promote Mike Vrabel because it was going to look better as a DC than a linebacker coach. And guess what? They demoted Romeo, promoted Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel got the head job in Tennessee the next year. And then after that, guess what? Romeo Crennel went right back to being a DC. See how they did that? That's not going to happen. So you don't think Time would like to coach at a Power 5 or a bigger school? But he got to start here. So they want to coach, but they realize they're not going to get the opportunities because they're Skip, that ain't just anybody. That's Brian, that's Deion Sanders, that's Ed Reed, that's Ray Lewis, that's Rod Woodson. And, Rod said anytime that he was, he used to coach at the Raiders, but he would try to correct the guy and said, people get upset. He's like, well, I'm just saying what you're teaching is not going to work on Sundays. And people take offense to that. Just teach what I'm telling you. Who you think knows more about a technique of playing cornerback or safety? Rod Woodson or a defensive coordinator? Who you think knows more about the technique or how you're supposed to get from point A to point B as a linebacker?
Yeah.
And so that's the problem that they're running into. So I don't know if it's necessarily per se, I'm glad that black colleges are benefiting from these great minds being head coaches, but I think that the opportunity is that this is where they have to start. We ain't got no problem with that, Skip, because hell, we always had to start at the bottom, and everybody know what I'm talking about. So there ain't no problem. Not that this is bad or anything, but I believe everybody wants to test their mettle. Nick Saban went to the NFL, Skip, because he wanted to see if he could do it, right? He found out it was a lot more difficult than he actually thought it was. He took his butt back to college, where he's the greatest college coach in NCAA history.
So I'm completely off the top of my head here, trying to respond to your point, but I'm trying to think of black star players who became head coaches in the National Football League, and I'm stuck on Mike Singletary, and I can't think of another one.
I can't either.
Right?
I can't either, no.
So what was his route? What was his path? It was a pretty...
He was the linebackers coach.
Yep.
And he was the linebackers coach in Baltimore.
Yep.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, I think he became the DC. No, he might have just got the head job at the 49ers.
I think it was a pretty meteoric rise. But it was a solo rise because I can't think of another one, to your point. Okay. So, silly me on this. When I thought of this last night, I was looking at it with rose-colored glasses because I wasn't thinking of stepping stones. I was thinking of places in their hearts where they felt a passion and a calling to go to an HBCU to say they need some help and we could bring stature, which they definitely will bring.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think they can be successful. And yet, to your point, that especially we got Eddie George, Ray, Ed, they've coached none. Right? Like they would just suddenly be the head coach.
Right.
But in college football head coaching, what is the key element? It's just recruiting. It's a recruiting game.
Yeah.
It is being able to go into a living room and recruit a mom. To me, and all 4 of the ones we named would be powerful, charismatic recruiters.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Even if you just had them on your staff, Skip, because I think Ed, at one point in time, he was helping at the University of Miami.
Well, I think he still is.
Okay.
I think he was. I think he did last year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't get any better. You can't get any better recruiters than those guys, Skip.
Okay. So what needs to start happening is they need to take these jobs, and I'm just looking at their ability to succeed at Tennessee State or Jackson State or Savannah State or wherever it is.
Right.
How fast could they succeed? Well, they need to start flipping some 4-stars, maybe an occasional 5-star to get themselves on the map.
Right.
And then, this is just me. My mind was really going crazy places last night. What needs to start happening is that occasionally they would recruit a really good white player.
Yeah.
Seriously, because when I went to Grambling and did my big piece on Doug Williams and Coach Robinson, and I spoke to the team.
They're normally the punters and the kickers.
Well, but they had white kids on the team, and I was like, wow.
Our kicker was white, Skip.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yes.
Well, so there's precedent for it.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about some, 4-star offensive tackle, white kid. If you could start getting an occasional one of those kids to go
white
here,
guy,
well, then all of a sudden you could start to be competitive with the powerhouses, right?
Because, Skip, there's a lot of time is that you look at the black colleges, and if you look at, I think they're probably, before the last, say, decade or so, there were more players from black colleges in the Hall of Fame than Power 5 white colleges. But what happened is that they saw, well, Mel Blount went to Southern. He in the NFL. Man, I played against Mel. I could go. And so you had a lot of guys going that route. Now we don't see nearly as many guys. I think Darius Leonard might be the biggest name that I can call off the top of my head, Skip, that went to HBCU, went to South Carolina State, and say the last 5 to 10 years. Guys go to Alabama. Hey, man, they had Julio, Calvin Ridley, Amari Cooper.
It just seems like a faster track.
Right. And so that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to get a couple of guys, go to the NFL, and see other guys see. Man, he went to the NFL from Jackson State. Because, Skip, nobody remember Robert Brazile. People don't, Walter Payton, they know who he is, but they don't really know that he's Lem Barney. Skip, there are a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame from Jackson State and Southern and Grambling.
Too tall jump.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tennessee State.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I just love this trend, and if it has to be a stepping stone, fine.
So, hey.
But if you could get these HBCUs back on the national map, because now, listen, starting in the fall, I know they played an abbreviated schedule in the spring, but I'm going to follow Jackson State. I'm going to follow Tennessee State.
Think about how many times Jackson State was on TV on ESPN, Skip. They 4 times in the last month. They was every Saturday.
Yep.
Or Sunday they playing.
Why not?
So the attention, you're right, the attention that these guys will bring. Ugh. But I wish I don't know how they do it. I just don't. Time got patience. He got patience from Joel. I just don't have the patience, Skip. I just can't, tell somebody we practice it and then you blow it in the game. And then we correct it in the game and then you go blow it again. See, nah, bro, I can't. But those guys got patience. They want to do that. I've never wanted to be a coach. I didn't want to coach my kids' teams, soccer, nothing. Because I know, I just know you got to know you, Skip. You got to be patient. You got to be a parent. You got to be a coach. You got to be a psychologist. You got to be a lot of things.
And finally, you have to be willing to start on a lower budget than you're used to.
Oh, yeah.
Because some of those trips are going to be on buses.
Oh, yeah, most of them.
Right?
I mean, I never took a plane. We never took a plane on it. I mean, the farther we went, probably 5 hours, 6 hours, Burlington, North Carolina, play Elon, but we bussed everywhere. It was cool, though, Skip. Hey, it was cool.
You were the life of the bus party?
Yeah,
Really?
It
was Club Shay Shay in the back of the bus?
Yeah, Skip, it used to be, it was like, we first started out, it was offense on one bus, defense on another bus. And then coach like, nah. Then it was the starters, the starters on one bus and the backups on the other bus. But, we had to go and spade games in the back, We stop up at a convenience store, Skip, I mean, team stop it. I don't think they do that now, but Skip, it was fun. I wouldn't change that experience. The planes are fun, but those bus trips, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, if only we had some old footage.
Man, Jenny.
On your road trip.
Jenny.
I could only imagine. It's probably better we don't, maybe.
Yeah, we don't need that footage. We don't need that footage.
I thought you were studying the back of the book.
Yes.
Man, I don't know. On Friday, we traveling to the game. No, we playing spades.
You took your homework, right?
All right.
No mercy.
Baker Mayfield was expected to start negotiating a long-term contract extension after seemingly outplaying his rookie deal. However, there apparently hasn't been any progress made on that front between the former #1 overall pick in Cleveland. According to The Athletic, the Browns could have concerns about entering into an expensive long-term extension with Mayfield, but picking up the fifth-year option looks like a formality. The team could then evaluate Mayfield over the next year or longer if a palatable extension remained elusive. That was hard to say for me. Okay, Shannon, will the Browns sign Baker long-term?
Well, there should be in no rush because Baker Mayfield isn't the guy that's, Jenny read that he's outperformed. But no, he hasn't. Just pick up the fifth-year option, evaluate him after this year. Patrick Mahomes outperformed his rookie contract. Deshaun Watson outperformed his rookie contract. Let's just take the guys that he got drafted with. He's in the same draft class as Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen up in Buffalo. Of those three, Baker Mayfield is not the best. He's not. One guy's gone to the playoffs 3 times. Lamar Jackson has gone to the playoffs all 3 years he's been in Baltimore. Josh Allen the last 2 years. Lamar has 30 wins, 7 losses. Baker Mayfield has 23 wins, 22 losses. So Lamar has 7 more wins with 15 fewer losses. Josh Allen has 5 more wins with 7 fewer losses. Now, Baker has more passing yards, but Lamar is more than just passing. Lamar has 7,000 passing yards, but he probably has another, 3,000 yards rushing. So he's a combination. And Josh Allen, I don't think anybody thinks that Baker Mayfield is better than Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. So for me, Skip, and what we've seen, what scared people is that when the Rams did what they did with Goff and what the Eagles did what they did with Wentz, and neither one of those guys are currently on the team that gave them that money. So I think that scared us like, you know what, we're going to wait. We don't really need to do this thing with 2 years, 2 years out. Let's go to that 4th year. Let's see how he performs. Because, Skip, you see where it is now. $40 million. Dak just got 40. So, the next contract is going to be, 41, 42? Dak got 126 guaranteed? Next contract going to 130, 135, 140 guaranteed? So the Browns will say, nah, we're not in a rush. We're going to see this thing through 1 more year. We'll pick up that 5th-year option, and then we'll go from there.
So, what did the Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe repeatedly beat on me and tell me? Why didn't Jerry Jones sign Dak when he should have? He waited too long, and look what it cost him.
Skip,
that's all I heard from you for like 2 years.
Skip, but the problem is that you had a 4th year and a 5th year option. Dak had no option because he wasn't a first-round pick, so you couldn't put an option
but you
on
kept
him.
Saying, pay me now, pay me later, and I had to pay through the nose later.
Right.
Okay? So why wouldn't you go ahead and try to work a deal right now that would be more palatable long-term with Baker than if you wait and do the 5th-year option and let him play it out?
No, I'm not going to skip. I'm going to do it after the 4th year. I'm just going to pick up the 5th-year option as a formality. No, he's not going to play on the 5th year. He's not going to play on that 5th-year contract. This is his 4th year. Okay. So he plays this year. So he'll be going into his 5th-year option.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll do something after this year.
Okay, but you told me sooner than later.
Yes, it'll be sooner. Because, Skip, the thing is, the contract wouldn't actually kick in until 2023. Okay. Because the 5th-year, he'll be playing on the 5th-year option, even though he has the long-term security moving forward.
So, going into Baker's draft, I told you Baker will be the best quarterback in that draft. You said Sam Darnold would be, and we locked horns on that one. And it was a shock to everybody that Cleveland took Baker first.
Right.
Because most people had maybe inked in Sam Darnold to go at least higher than Baker Mayfield, right? Yeah. Baker seemed to be the 3rd quarterback or whatever. I'm going to dig in on this one, and I'm going to say long-term, Baker will prove to be the best quarterback in that draft. Better than Josh and a little better than Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
The problem that Baker had was he did too many commercials too early. He gained a little too much weight too early. He got a little too full of himself too early. And he had a clown show of head coaches and coordinators for 2 years. For 2 long years, he had 3 head coaches and 3 different coordinators just for his first 2 years in the National Football League. As you well know, that is hard to overcome because it's one thing after another. And just when you think you're comfortable with this scheme, all of a sudden, the whole direction changes in the franchise. And you're never sure from day to day who's in charge, who's going to be fired tomorrow. And all of a sudden, they hit on somebody. They got Kevin Stefanski to come in and to really be both. He's the head coach and he's the coordinator. Alex Van Pelt's the quarterback coach. But again, Stefanski is in charge. And he finally brought Baker some trustable structure last year, and it started to take off. And I told you Odell was not a great fit with Baker because he idolizes Odell. He socializes with Odell.
I don't know if that's the case, Skip. I think the thing is that Odell needs to go somewhere where the quarterback is bigger than he is.
Okay, that's fine too. Whatever. But I watched Baker game after game try to get the ball to Odell. His first read in his head was Odell, even if he weren't primary, because I got to get him the ball. Got to get him the ball. To his detriment, where you get so Odell-centric that you start to neglect the other weapons you have, like a Rashard Higgins, who he loves to throw to him, and he's open. He's going to get singled every play because of Jarvis and Odell. So once Odell, I'm knocking on wood for him. I hope he comes back because I don't even like to talk about it.
Yeah, he's going to come back. We're going somewhere else, though.
Well, he got hurt. It was, what, week 7 against Cincinnati. And all of a sudden, Baker took off. And he went 8-3 down the stretch. But more important, he threw 19 touchdowns to only 2 interceptions. 19-2 is pretty good.
I want to know what role did Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt play in that?
Well, obviously, they got talent.
So you want me to give a guy 135, 140 million guaranteed?
What do you tell me? I'm going to turn the argument around on you now. You told me day after day after day, it's the price of doing business in the National Football League.
That's the price now.
Well, that's what you told me. You said, Dak Prescott cost this because that's what it costs to have a franchise quarterback today.
But Dak is not going to be turning around handing the ball off 300-plus times to the running backs either.
Well, he should be because he's got the highest paid running back in pro football.
Well, you got the highest paid quarterback currently in football.
Yes, we do. And how did that happen? Jerry got backed into a corner. Again, Dak, he was lucky not to start off 0-4 last year, but he got every break, so to speak, even though he got hurt and was career-threatening. I got it, but after that, they finished 6-10. So it wasn't like Andy Dalton took over. It wasn't like suddenly Anthony DiNucci.
But you said if Dak had played the whole season, you'd believe they'd have won the division.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, so they wouldn't have won the division?
I don't think so. Not the way they got off. Well, where was it trending? Did they not steal the Atlanta game?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if they hadn't, they'd be 0-4 with Dak going into the Giants game.
They stole the Giants game, too.
Okay, well, they were down 17-3 while Dak was still upright in that game.
Yeah.
And they came back, but then it took 2 late bombs from Andy Dalton to save the day in that game.
Right.
Okay, and Andy Dalton had his moments, but remember, he got concussed and then he got COVID. Well, it all broke right for all of a sudden Dak became an incredibly sympathetic figure, and Jerry was up against it because Jerry's talking about his mortality, and he's starting to think, do I want to trade up and try to draft one of those quarterbacks and just start over and not know for sure? I got a bird in the hand. I got a guy who's made 2 Pro Bowls and won me 2 divisions.
You said moving forward, you take Baker. As we sit here right now, where does Baker rank among those 3 quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen? Baker Mayfield.
Where does he rank?
Yeah.
Well, I only have a body of work that really started in week 7 last year.
No, you got a body of work. He's been a starter for 3 years.
I just told you it was a clown show with head coaches and coordinators. I'm dismissing all of it. It is irrelevant to me what happened in the first two and a half years.
Well, it was a clown show. He was the entertainer in the clown show, so he got to get Skip. He got to get some responsibility to blame.
He lost some weight last year, which he needed to lose.
Okay.
And he finally started living up to all those commercials that he did.
I get all of that. But as we sit here, where would you rank these 3 quarterbacks? Where is Baker Mayfield ranked among Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen? 3rd.
Okay.
I do it for you. 3rd.
Okay. Well, he's going to be first.
No, he's not.
When all is said and done. All is said and done. Where's Sam Darnold going to be? 4th. Maybe. There may be somebody else in there I'm forgetting.
Josh Rosen.
Okay.
So after this year, Baker is better than Josh Allen and Lamar after this year?
Yep. Starting from this point forward. He's got a real head coach and a real coordinator, and they are the same man. And he impressed me last year. And obviously, he is surrounded with nice supporting cast, a very good offensive line, and he's got weapons, and he's got 2 running back weapons. I got that. But he will rise and shine and live up to all of the above. They made the playoffs last year. They won a playoff game.
Ravens do that all the time.
Okay.
With Lamar.
Well, obviously,
with
they have tradition. Do the Browns have tradition?
Yeah,
they have none.
Y'all traditionally lose.
That's what I mean.
And with those uniforms that look like that, that's what exactly should happen. What about Josh Allen? Josh Allen finished second in MVP.
Okay, and what?
Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
He gonna get better too.
Did Stephon Diggs not change Josh Allen's life last year? You better believe
Skip,
he
y'all
did.
look at all the receivers you got. You named Higgins and you named all Jarvis and Njoku and Hooper and Bryant and all those guys. You got the best offensive line in football.
I got it.
So ain't no excuse.
I saw a real quarterback
Super
over
Bowl?
the last 11 games.
Oh, so Browns winning the division?
I didn't say that.
What? No,
I told you on paper they're the best team right
I didn't know no paper.
Yeah. Well, I got to see who drafts whom. What's coming. The Ravens need to get a lot better in the draft.
Skip.
There are a bunch of good receivers in the draft. Let's see if they land one.
They can draft 2 lions and a llama. You say Baker Mayfield the best quarterback, so he should be able to bring it home.
Well, he's about to bring it home. I definitely think they're a Super Bowl contender in the AFC. I told you that the other day. Well, look how they shored up the defense. Look at John Johnson III. My God.
I can't believe it.
Yep.
Can't.
Baker's in a good spot now. It went from hell to heaven.
They're the Browns. Yep. The Browns. Think about it. Browns Super Bowl. When have you ever heard somebody say that? When have you ever heard say Browns Super Bowl contenders? When have you ever heard somebody say that?
When a guy named Jim Brown played for him, right?
When they had the NFL championship,
Yes,
they had the Super Bowl.
Yep.
No mercy.
Okay, the NASCAR Cup Series is back on Fox. Catch the sport's top drivers as they battle on the short track at Richmond in the Toyota Owners 400. Catch all the thrilling action Sunday at 3 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. So even though Tom Brady is coming off a Super Bowl win and has 2 more years on his contract, it might not stop the Bucs from drafting a quarterback in just a couple weeks. Bruce Arians told reporters that he would draft a QB with the 32nd overall pick if, quote, the right guy is there. Arians also said they'd consider doing the same in later rounds depending on who is available. So, Shannon, should Tampa take a quarterback?
Yeah, Skip, I'm not saying I don't know if they'll take one in the first round, Skip. I don't know if outside of the top 5, if anybody have a grade like that. They're probably looking to take someone bottom of the 2nd round, maybe 3rd round, something of that nature. But, Skip, I don't think you should, and that's the mistake a lot of teams will make. You wait till the quarterback is on his last leg, and then you try to take. Miami finally believes they have their guy in Tua. Skip, Dan Marino retired in 2000. Jim Kelly retired in 1997, and it took them until, 3 years ago to believe they got their guy in Josh Allen. This is what happens. If the check engine light comes on, your gas light comes on, Skip, you wait till the gas light come on, you see a quarter of a tank. Man, I'm going to wait, man. I'll probably go from here to San Francisco on a quarter of a tank. Then you run out, and then what? Side, you got your car that's going to be messed up because you let the gas get completely out of it. No. And Bruce Arians would be foolish to wait till Tom Brady get in the year 22. Let's just say he plays another year. 23, say, we're going to take one. Tom, this is Tom last year. We're going to take one in the draft the following. You get somebody in and you try to develop. You see what's happened to Coach Belichick. Now, Coach Belichick believed he had his developmental guy. He had his bridge with Jimmy Garoppolo. That's what he believed.
Well, then he thought he had another bridge with Jared Stidham, right?
Stids.
Yeah, Stiddy.
That's all your fault. That's your fault.
Yeah.
But, Skip, no, I think they're saying if there's a guy somewhere between the 3rd and the 7th round that we can develop, keep him on. Tom plays this year. He learns under Tom. Tom comes back, play year 3? Okay, fine. But I don't think they're going to reach. It's like, we got to have a quarterback. Nah, it's like he said, Bruce B.A. said, it's going to be a developmental guy, a guy that's a year or 2 away.
Shannon Sharpe.
Yes.
I am about to invoke the D word when it comes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That D stands for dynasty.
Oh, my goodness.
It has started. It is going to be the bane of your existence for the next X years on this show.
One
and done?
One.
No.
One.
At least 2.
1.
Maybe 3. 3 would qualify
Give me the
as
feel.
a dynasty.
Give me the feel.
No, I'm just saying he's going to play until, you know who he is. He's going to play until he's 45 at least, and I wouldn't be surprised at 46 or 47.
So he going to get at least 23 years in.
I'm not betting against this guy. It's the one guy I never bet against. He has cost you probably 100 cases of Diet Mountain Dew.
In 5 years, he definitely cost me that.
Okay. So there is no way, if we're talking about the last pick in the first round, that Bruce Arians or Todd Light should even think about quarterback, even if they have a bottom of the first round grade on one of the next quarterbacks down the line after those top 5. Because Kiper's got them taking Barmore, the defensive tackle out of Alabama, at 32.
Right.
And obviously, Sue is getting up there in age, so that's a great fit for me. Mm-hmm. So you should maximize your chances to go D-word dynasty from this point on, because you need a backup, if not a rotational player for Sue, and you got Vita Vea, who got hurt for a while last year, but came back like gangbusters. I
think in that spot, Skip, you can take best available player. Okay. You don't really, they're looking at it like we got all our guys back. Who's the highest drafted player on our board?
Okay, I'm good with that because that's how you maximize your D-word chances going forward over the next 3 years.
Correct.
That's what I would do, which brings me back to Bruce Arians. Obviously, he is a quarterback's coach and a guru of quarterbacks. I thought he was going to retire a couple of years ago. So
he was retired.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. I thought he was done.
Yeah.
So my point is, how much longer is he going to go? Well, he'll go when Tom Brady walks out that door into the sunset. I'm pretty sure he will too.
Well, I hope he does what Roy Williams. He gives Byron Leftwich his blessing.
Okay. And God bless that. I agree. I am completely with that notion. But the point is, for Bruce Arians talking about, we take a quarterback if one's there that we like. Well, it's not for him. Because you're good to go. You got Blaine Gabbert as your backup. He's a perfectly serviceable backup quarterback who started in this league. He's not the future, obviously, but he's the present. Could he win you a couple of games if you needed to? Sure, he could. He's done it before.
Yeah, with that level of talent around him, he should be able to win a game.
Okay. He's decent. He's had his moments in this league.
Hey, Skip, you remember what happened when you don't have an adequate backup, and then you believe they have an adequate backup. Remember what happened with the Colts? All of a sudden, Peyton Manning wasn't going to be able to play. And you just anticipate, well, Peyton, he never gets hurt. And you didn't prepare adequately. You go 2-14, the entire front office is gone. You luck up and get Andrew Luck.
You did.
But that's the thing, Skip.
I got it.
I believe you got to play in a couple of years because, Skip, you're not going to... I know everybody wants the situation like they had in San Francisco. You go Joe Montana, and then you go Steve Young. Or Green Bay, you go Brett Favre, and you get 16 years with Aaron Rodgers. Skip, that didn't happen.
Okay, but Aaron had to sit for 3 long years.
Which was perfect. Which was perfect.
Okay. I don't think they're thinking in terms of 3 years from now in Tampa. I think they're thinking about 2021.
Right.
No, I think they're going to max out their chances.
That's what I'm saying.
Now.
But let's just say you believe Tom plays until he's 45. Okay. That means he's going to have to come back in for his 23rd season. Well, if I got a guy this year, he learns 1-2 years under Tom, then I'm tempted to turn it over to him, Skip.
Okay. So next down the list, if you look at Kiper's list, you got Davis Mills, the Stanford kid, who I like. I can see that. He's got him targeted. It's mid-second round. He's got him going to Washington at the 19th pick in the second round.
Okay.
So he's next. I like Kellen Mond. I watched him a lot at Texas A&M. He could be intriguing. Would he catch Bruce Arians' eye? Kellen Mond played a lot of football because he started some when he was a freshman. Right. Then he played sophomore, junior, senior year. He was the starter. And they had good records. They went his 3 starting years, 9-4, 8-5, 9-1. He's won a lot of big games. Yeah. He had a lot of big comebacks against LSU and against Florida. I like him a lot as a second, third round pick.
Right.
And then there's that Kyle Trask at Florida, who I did love.
Right.
But again, he's got ability. He's got size and big arm.
Well, he ain't got no mobility.
No, he doesn't have any mobility. Okay, so that's next up.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, would Todd Light fall in love with one of those 3 at number 32? Right. I guess it's possible.
But not likely.
Okay, to me, you go best available.
Yeah.
Or you go Barmore if that would make sense to me.
Yeah, sure.
Because you got a chance to win it all the next 2 years, I think, because you got everybody pretty much under contract, right?
Yeah.
And I could see both Brady and Gronk going at least 2 more years. See what happens. Take best available all through the draft. They got all their picks. They're at the bottom of the rounds, but they got them all.
I mean, what about Father Time?
Yeah.
When he gonna wake up? Don't Father Time tap somebody on the shoulder all the time?
You've been tapping Father Time on the shoulder for 4 years,
I'm just asking,
5 years.
Skip, I'm just asking.
So is it possible that you think Tom Brady is just going to, as they say, fall off the cliff this coming year?
I just like Father Time will say, hey, Tom,
that's it?
Let me holler at your boy. Come holler at your boy right now.
Yeah. Well, he's
like, what you want? He's like, hey, this gonna be it.
He looks like 43 going on 23 to me, especially in energy and commitment.
Well, I used to see some gray. I think he got a color.
Well, it's possible. I got it. Okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
All right. There have been all kinds of reports about what happened to his hair. I don't know, but I don't care because I know he can play.
Oh, yeah, he ain't got nothing to do. He ain't got nothing to do.
Okay.
Ain't nothing happened to his arm.
No. Okay. And so far, so good. I'm knocking on wood. Nothing's happened to his body either.
I mean, he got
a little minor knee.
Yeah, but don't do that.
He's good.
Ain't nothing wrong with his knee. You know good when ain't nothing wrong with that man's knee.
There's nothing wrong.
He up there walking around in cutter.
That's what I told you that. He's good to go.
You good to go?
Yep. I got them winning it all next year, and I just
give me the
might
field in.
We'll get there. We got time.
Okay. Your day coming.
They may
you just feeling too good.
They got so many picks. They may just own the draft. You may sit back after the draft and say, "Look what they just did." They may be drafting good kids who can't even make the roster because they don't have any slots on the roster.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But no quarterback. They don't need a quarterback. They got the quarterback.
Oh, Skip Bayless, he all on the tail. He all on the table with Paul. Yeah.
Yep.
Ciscoon bow. Ooh, rah. Okay.
Yep.
Your day coming.
Well, you've been telling me that for 5 years.
Your day coming.
Well,
Brady could tell us everything he does to stay healthy. Like, I want the full protocol. I want the meal plan. I want the beauty regimen because he looks better than he looked when he was 20, right?
He eat whatever.
He's eating clean. I understand he's eating well, but, like, so do we. He looks like he's going backwards
so do we.
in age. I eat well most of the time. I know you.
No mercy.
So the 76ers and Nets face off tonight with first place in the East on the line. And Joel Embiid is embracing the spotlight, talking a big game to back up his latest MVP buzz. When discussing Shaquille O'Neal, who was the last center to win MVP, Embiid said, quote, Shaq was extremely dominant, and that's what I've been this season. Dominant, but that's not the only comparison he made. When talking about his offensive style, get this, guys, Embiid said, I've always seen myself as just being like Kevin Durant, just moving all over the place, shooting off the dribble, handling the ball, crossovers, posting up. So, yeah, he's confident. Shannon, do you like Embiid comparing himself to both Shaq and KD?
I don't think really Joel Embiid understands Shaq's level of dominance. Shaq was dominant in the regular season, but Skip, he was historically. Shaq in the NBA Finals, this is what he did his first finals. He was 38 points, 17 rebounds, 2 assists. And then he followed up that next year with 33, 16, and 5. And then he followed that up with Skip with 36, 12, and 3. Let that sink in for a second. He averaged that for a finals. If you go back when he was in Orlando, he was 28, 13, and 6 against arguably the greatest defensive center, Hakeem Olajuwon, to ever play. Now, you could take your choice, he or Mr. Russell, Bill Russell, but Olajuwon is on a very short list of the greatest defensive center Skip to ever play. That's what Shaq did. And even when they lost to Detroit, he was 26, 11, and 2. So, Joel, while you're dominating in the regular season, and Shaq did that a lot because he was like 6 or 7 times first-team All-NBA from 2000 to 2006. First-team All-NBA. You're going to have to do what you're doing in the regular season, like what he did, Skip, that 36 points in 26 minutes? He's going to have to do that. He has to do that when it counts. Because, look, Skip, I believe he's right back in smack dab in the MVP discussion because guys are missing. Harden's missing games. Kawhi Leonard's missed 14 games. LeBron's gonna miss 15 games. The only guy that's really Kevin Durant's missed a bunch of games.
Jokic.
The only guy I think he's gonna have to worry about is Jokic's playing there every day. But now that Jamal Murray's gone, what are they gonna look like? I don't know if you're gonna give it to a guy that finishes in the fifth or the sixth seed. I don't know if he can get it.
Aaron Gordon's been a big addition for them.
Yeah, but Jamal Murray was that guy. And so, Skip, I'll give Joel Embiid credit. He's finally starting to realize Well, Shaq realized, I'm the biggest mofo out here. Let me play like it. I don't think Joel Embiid always played like he was the biggest, baddest mofo on the court. He is this year.
Speaking of Shaq, Shaq's been all over him just because of that.
He is now. He's playing like, y'all put him on me. Y'all disrespecting me.
That is what he's doing.
Shaq, anytime you didn't double Shaq, it doesn't matter who the center was. It could be David Roberts. It could be Keem Olajuwon and Lonzo Mourning. If you didn't double him, Shaq deemed that as disrespectful. No disrespect to the guy that's guarding him, but he said, y'all think this one guy going to be able to do something with me, 7'1", 325?
Yep.
Not on his best day. So I like what I'm saying. Now, I don't get that Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is a very unique figure, Skip. We've never seen anything. Now, we've only seen one guy be able to shoot the ball at that size like Kevin Durant. That's Dirk Nowitzki. But Dirk Nowitzki didn't have a heavy pull-up at 28 feet. Dirk Nowitzki wasn't putting the ball on the floor and getting to the mid-range or getting all the way to the rim. Now, he can shoot free throws just as good as KD, but we've never seen anything like KD as far as size and skill.
Yep.
Dirk can shoot it like he could, but Dirk wasn't putting it on the floor and doing all the things that KD could do. Okay. So I don't see the similarities with KD, but Shaq, he makes a very compelling point. But he's finally starting to realize, hell, I'm as big as Shaq. I'm as skilled as Shaq. He might be more skilled than Shaq. Shaq wasn't shooting no threes. Shaq wasn't pulling up from 18, 15 feet.
No.
But Shaq got your butt on the block. He was dunking on your head.
I've told you before how I feel about Shaq, whom I covered all those big games in the playoffs and all that period with Kobe when they just tore the league apart.
Yeah, it wasn't fair.
He was the most dominant offensive force I've ever seen in this league, but it was brute force.
Yes.
It was hard to referee and sometimes hard to watch. Now back to Joel.
Yep.
And I'm going to throw Ben Simmons into this because both of them have been talking loudly. They have a big showdown tonight. The Nets are back-to-back on the road, but it's at Philly. The Nets obviously had to play at Minnesota yesterday, so it made it a back-to-back.
Right. It's supposed to be Monday. It's supposed to be Monday, Wednesday.
So they're a little at a disadvantage here. But Ben Simmons took his shot yesterday saying, well, there's only one basketball. When we talk about the Nets, there's only one basketball, and you have to play defense.
And you got to play defense.
Okay. Kaboom. That's a big shot fired ahead of this game.
It was.
And then Joel's going Shaq and Kevin Durant. It's a lot of big talk, but I like how this team is growing up with Doc as the new head coach and the new
they're
voice.
better than I thought they were going to be. I mean, I know what Joel Embiid is.
They're really good.
Yeah, Tobias Harris, Danny Green. Danny Green looks like the Danny Green that was in San Antonio.
I agree. And Shake comes off the bench and just shakes it up, and they're a really difficult-to-beat basketball team. They devastated Dallas at Dallas.
What's the guy's Korkmaz?
Korkmaz.
Korkmaz.
Yes.
Korkmaz.
Yes.
He can shoot it.
Can he?
Seth Curry can shoot it.
Can he shoot it? Okay, so they're growing up right before your very eyes, and they're getting full of themselves in a good way. I'm okay with what they're talking about because they're arriving right on schedule, and it's going to be, I believe, Nets versus Sixers, to me, for all the marbles in the Eastern Conference when all is said and done. Okay, now back to his comparisons. I don't think he's saying, I am Shaq or I'm better than Shaq. He just said, I'm as dominant as Shaq was in a different way because he's physical. He is a 7-foot monster.
Yeah, it's going to be 300 pounds. He should be.
He is 300 pounds. And there are some nights when he is truly unstoppable.
Yes.
Because he's not Kevin Durant, but he is Durant-ish on some nights because he can wheel and deal with the basketball.
Right.
Do you realize, number one, he is number one in this league in PER, player efficiency rating. He's number one because he is scoring 30 points a game with 11 rebounds and 3 assists, which is pretty high. Yeah. But Shaq was really good at
Shaq was better than people thought assisted the basketball.
Look at some of he's 4 and 5 assists a game, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But Joel is now career high 52% from the field. He's a career high 38% from 3. He's 7 feet tall, and he can stroke threes. Yeah. But you know what he can really stroke? Free throws.
Right.
Do you realize that Joel Embiid leads this league in free throw attempts per game? Obviously, he's missed 18, so he's not overall leader. But in attempts per game, he is 12 a game, and it ain't even close because Giannis is only 10 a game. Right. Joel is making 85% of 12 attempts a game. Right. Trust me, that is off the charts great for that man at 7 feet tall.
Yeah, absolutely, He
has skill. He has touch.
He got nice soft touch. Yeah.
And the other night, he was just he was just killing Dallas, and they were trying to double him.
And that's what you should do.
Yeah.
When you don't have a true big, you got try to guard me with Collie Stein.
Yeah.
You really you will put Collie Stein on me? Really?
Okay.
That's what you think about me?
It got so bad late in the third quarter. He didn't even play in the fourth quarter. But if we could see the last field goal he made, he just saying, "Here comes the double. Here comes the double," and he just wheels and does that. That's not fair.
Yeah.
At 7 feet
He knows
tall,
it's coming. He goes to the baseline.
Watch this. I'll just fall away. I'm not saying he's Kevin Durant, but that's Durant-ish.
Yes.
Right? That's a 7 foot tall monster who's just saying, "Oh, you're sending another. I got this for you."
Right. Because for the longest time, Skip, they tried to play him one-on-one. And that's what Shaq, and where Shaq was great is that, hey, he could pass out of the double team.
Yeah.
But if you just left one guy and you let Shaq drip, Shaq was dunking.
He's going to dunk every single time. And he might dunk over two of you.
Yeah, exactly.
He was literally unstoppable because he was just too big and strong. He was unrefereeable.
And that's what Shaq realized. Shaq realized that I have a size and a height advantage. I'm not going to play small because you guys are small.
Yep.
Joel Embiid sometimes, Skip, I thought played small because he was playing smaller guys. Now, okay, I don't care if you got a 6'3" guy, y'all mess up and mess the switch up. That's on y'all. I'm punishing whomever got me.
Yep.
I believe he's back there. If I had to say right now, Skip, because what's going to be the difference between a guy missing 22 games and a guy missing 18 games?
I don't know. He's missed 18 of 54 that they played. So he's played 36 of 54 games.
It's hard for me to believe that everybody that's in the MVP discussion aren't going to miss some more games. So the voters are going to have a very tough choice to make, Skip. Okay, Joel Embiid missed 22 games, but the next guy missed 15. Another guy missed 17.
Yep.
Joel has been dominant. They're the number 1 or number 2 seed. Because the question is, can anybody else get that high? Can Jokic get up to the 3rd seed? I don't believe they can, not without Murray. Can James Harden, after he missing them games, even if Joel Embiid falls down to the 2 slot?
Yep. I've told you from the start, I got Embiid over Jokic any way, shape, or form. I'll take him, and I'll take him for MVP, even though Jokic just played, I don't know if he's played every game, but he's played almost
I think he missed like 1.
Okay, so I give you that.
Yeah, and he's got he had 4 straight triple, 4, 5, 6 straight triple doubles.
I got it. But this guy leads in PER, and he has led this team to the top of the East. They're now tied with the Nets for the best record in the East, and they may end up with the best record. And if they do, even if he can keep his games to around miss 20, 21, whatever, by the end of the season.
Don't miss any more than 5.
Okay, 5 more.
Right. I think the thing is, Skip, the question is how many back-to-backs they're going to have. Skip, this game it's about to get really condensed. It's about to get really condensed. Now, and I know he's not going to have to worry about this, but this play-in, think about the guy, the 7 through 10 that has the play-in.
Yep.
It's going to be really, really condensed for them.
Which is why Cuban ripped it yesterday and said it was a terrible mistake.
Right.
Yeah.
Because think about it, Skip. Look at me. No Bron, no AD, KD missed times, Harden missed time, Joel Embiid's missed time, Giannis has missed time. Your stars. Skip, the ratings are a little shaky right now. The NBA is all about stars. People don't love they don't love their teams that much to watch if the stars are not playing.
Yeah.
It's not like football, Skip. Hey, it's the jersey places come and go. It's a star-driven league.
What got me is we even lost LaMelo, who was a rising star.
Yes.
Yep. Oh, well, I got Embiid for MVP, and I believe he's going to hang on to it.
Well, only because my guy got a freak accident, but we're going to be finals MVP.
Your guy needed some rest.
There you go.
No mercy.
Well, Saturday on Fox, the MLS is back. Watch Austin FC as they make their league debut against Carlos Bea and LAFC. The action kicks off 5:30 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. So the Clippers beat the Pacers 126-115 last night, led by Paul George's 36 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds. He has now scored 30-plus points for 4 straight games, including the past 2 without Kawhi Leonard. And afterward, PG told reporters that he's done making excuses for his lingering toe injury and that his new mindset led to a, quote, breakthrough in how he's approached the game. So, Shannon, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much should the Clippers trust Paul George this year's playoffs?
Oh, the Clippers should trust him a 10. I thought you were going to ask me how much should I trust him. Because everybody know old tax season Paul. Tax season Paul, he going to make you pay in April. You know what I did with that? That's what they call it, old tax season Paul. Because he make you pay in April. But I need to see what...
I'm not laughing.
What are you going to do? Yeah, I know you're not laughing because you already know how it's going to end. You already know because you've seen this movie before. Your favorite movie, you watch it probably how many times?
Which movie?
Your favorite, Wizard of Oz, probably your favorite.
Yeah, I do. Die Hard.
Die Hard. You watched it?
Probably up to 22.
No hiding in.
Yeah.
You've been watching Paul George for the last 7 years in the playoffs. You already know how it's going to end, don't you? You just don't want to admit it. He's playing phenomenal.
Okay, so how much do you trust him going into the playoffs? Scale of 1 to 10. Seriously, how much do you trust Paul George?
I gave him 3.
A 3.
3, possible 4.
Maybe 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's better than I thought you would give it.
Yeah.
Right?
I gave him 3, possible 4.
Okay, so another night, another bizarre post-game quote from Playoff P.
See, you keep keeping pressure because you keep calling the Playoff P.
Okay, well, I have no idea what he was talking about last night about this breakthrough, so he's trying to explain he has an ongoing foot issue.
Yeah.
And he decided, I'm just going to make peace with it and just play through it. Well, that's kind of how you have to do it,
Yeah,
right?
that's kind of
how you.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Most players
right?
play with something, Skip.
Yeah, I know. So I'm like, and your revelation came from where? I don't know.
Right.
It just dawned on him. Maybe I should just go out there and just play through it.
Yeah, you probably should.
Okay,
Yeah.
and he did. And you know what? There are nights, I watched this whole game last night at Indiana.
He was phenomenal, Skip.
Hey, he was phenomenal. I mean, he was big time. He looked top 5-ish last night.
Yes.
36. He led the team with 8 assists. He had 7 rebounds. He made 4 threes. He is making 44% of his three-point shots this year. Is that good? That's great. That's a career high for him. When he goes up from 3, I'm usually like, money. He is on an incredible roll. And remember, a week ago, Shaq went out of his way on live TV to say, I'm not going to ask you a question in this interview. I'm just going to compliment you.
Right.
He said, I'm proud of you.
Right.
From manning up and against all the
No more
backlash
excuses
that he
make
got, right? Okay, I get all that. But I do have trepidation only about him. I don't have trepidation about this team.
Okay.
But he's been doing it in the absence of his co-star.
Right.
No Kawhi, all PG. That was hard. Remember, he played there, so maybe he rises and shines when he goes back to Indiana.
Yeah, I was giving, you know, they traded him. You know, I got beef with you.
But he wanted out.
Yeah, he wanted. But Skip, I think the thing is, and because you have to understand that PG, when he was in Indiana, he played without another co-star. So he's had to scale his game back somewhat, playing with Russ, scale his game back somewhat, playing alongside Kawhi. You just can't, well, I mean, if you really want to be successful as a team, somebody have to scale it back. And he's willing to do that. You see, he scales back. Hey, he ain't got no problem. Hey, Russ, this your show. I'm coming in. He ain't got no problem. Nobody can ever question Paul George's skill level. Because, Skip, he can shoot the 3, pull up in your face. He can put it on the floor, get to the mid-range. He can finish at the rim. He's another solid free throw shooter. Paul George's mid-range is fine.
By the way, he's 90% from the free throw line.
Yeah, Skip. Now, I don't believe he's the same defensive player because it's hard, Skip, to devote that kind of intensity on the defensive end and still have to give your team sometime between 28 and 35 on a nightly basis. But Paul George is as good a two-way player as we have in the league. Nobody questioned that. The problem that people have is that far too many times over the past couple of years, Skip, we've seen him come up small when it matters the most. That's it. Can't question his game in the regular season. But if he'd never came out there and sat at that podium with Russ and Carmelo and said his name was Playoff P, you and I both know he would not be getting this kind of criticism.
No, he wouldn't be Pandemic P, right? And then he fell all apart in the bubble, and he said he faced depression, he needed counseling, and they crumbled right on schedule against Denver, obviously up 3-1.
Right.
And he took the brunt of it. Kawhi took a lot of it, too.
Right, and rightfully so.
Rightfully so. Here's my view of Paul George, who, when he was in Indiana up against LeBron, I sometimes called George Paul because he is not an alpha. He is not the leader. He is not the go-to superstar of a team. He is a complementary star. Not a super, but he's complementary. I have been proud of him this year because he is fighting back, and he's taking a lot of crap every night from just about everybody, starting with Devin Booker. People are just all over him, trash talking him. You show a little weakness, and they're going to be all over you.
You know it's predatory behavior in sports.
It's predatory. But here's the point. This team is absolutely loaded. So all they need from him is on a nightly basis for him to be the complimentary star to Kawhi. Because look what they're doing. Look at Marcus Morris Sr. He's having his best year yet. Seriously. Ever. He takes 3 threes last night and made all three of them. Oh. And right now, Rondo is coming off the bench, but he is going to be the closer of this team. Reggie Jackson, they're continuing to pat him on the head and give him his due as the starting point guard of this team. Reggie is a 2-guard who can get you 30 on any given night if needed. If you don't pay any attention to him, he will get you 30.
But he ain't going to get nobody no sets. He's trying to get his shot, not anybody else their shot.
He is not, he's not the point guard. And obviously, he had 4 assists last night in 30 minutes. Not terrible. But the point is, Nicholas Batum is now coming off the bench. And look what he did last night. He blocked 5 shots. This team can keep coming. Terrence Mann has become a basketball player who contributes at the highest level.
That's what made Lou Will expendable.
I know. I agree.
His play.
That is exactly right. You can't tell me that the great Jerry West, who oversees his team, didn't say, you know what? We're good.
Right.
We got Terrence Mann.
Because Skip, we got to get him more minutes because you playing Lou Will. Lou Will was cutting to his minutes. Let's give this kid more minutes. I agree with you. Rondo didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but look at his plus minus. Plus 14 in less than 19 minutes.
And he brought the
Batum was 22. I mean, the guy they're playing extremely well. Like you said, Andre Drummond can't get rid of the big penguin. I don't think Paul George could ever get him a pandemic P.
He probably won't until they win a championship, or at least win the West and get to the finals.
Right.
That would do it. This team is still leading the NBA in three-point shooting and free throw shooting. To me, that will translate.
Yeah, and they're on a pace to break Dallas's offensive efficiency record last year.
They are.
So they're way ahead. I mean, they're way ahead in the efficiency thing. Skip, they're like 119, 120 to 116.
Okay, so I want to know, scale of 1 to 10, how scared you are of the Clippers. That's the key question.
LeBron coming back?
Yes.
AD coming back?
I think so, but I'm not as sure about that one. I'm sure about LeBron because he's just resting up right now.
See, there you go. There you go. I knew you go do that, Skip. I know you go do it. It ain't no rest.
It's obvious he is, and it's okay.
It ain't no obvious. Skip, you saw the man get hurt.
I'm complimenting you.
No, I want no compliment.
I'm blessing this.
No, I don't want you to bless.
He needed to rest, and he got his excuse.
See?
I don't think
I knew you was going to do this. I ain't scared of nothing.
Those words.
No mercy.
According to NFL Network, free agent Aldon Smith is visiting with the Seahawks today. Seattle was interested in trading for the pass rusher last year, but Dallas held on to him before deciding to move on this offseason. Smith had 5 sacks last year for the Cowboys, 3 of which came against the Seahawks in Week 3 last year. So, Shannon, do you think he will sign with the Seahawks, or will he return to the Cowboys?
Yep, go to the Seahawks. Go to the Seahawks. No, y'all didn't want him. You could have done signed him.
We want him. We still want him at our price.
In other words, Seattle going to get him at their price.
Okay.
Your price just went up. Yeah. And since you didn't want to give us what we wanted to begin with, I think we'll take a few less dollars to go to Seattle and win.
Oh, so you laughed at me last year when I said Aldon Smith was going to be a revelation, a godsend, and he was for about a month.
Yeah.
Because he did all his damage in the first month of the season, and then he hit the wall and he went pretty quiet the rest of the way.
Yeah, Skip.
Because he hadn't played for, what was it, 5 years? So he just ran out of gas. His body was not fine-tuned enough to take the beating for the 4 months.
Skip, you want to get a man that hadn't worked in 5 years, you want to give him a manual labor job and say work a 12-hour day and they don't expect him to be tired the next day he comes to work. Of course he's going to be tired, but don't worry about it. We're going to take him up off your hands. Okay. Watch what we do with him.
By all accounts, by all reports, Dallas wants him back. He loved playing there. He's close with McCarthy.
Loved ED.
Yeah. Huh?
Loved ED.
Loved ED, past tense.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if Seattle overpays for him, that's fine.
Oh, that is Seattle overpay.
I think he loved playing for America's team because everybody does.
Does he want to go to the playoffs? I mean, his first couple of years, he was in the playoffs, winning the Super Bowl.
Well, if you win the division, don't you go to the playoffs?
Y'all not winning the division.
That's a done deal.
Oh, no,
That's
you gave me the field. Y'all not going to the playoffs.
I took because it's a cakewalk. It's over. And Aldon can go for a little ride with us.
I'm thinking what, 8-1, 9-8?
I
maybe 8-9.
Seattle might miss the playoffs next year.
With Russ.
That division.
He's like, I want to go to a better quarterback.
Mm.
Who's better quarterback, Russ or Dak?
Well, Dak beat Russ head-to-head in a playoff game. That's all
We
I
had
know.
to beat you twice in the regular season. Just beat you last year.
Nobody cares about that.
Oh, nobody cares
They only
now.
care about
Moving on. We only talk about the future right now.
Well, Aldon Smith
Good
is going
stuff
to,
today, guys. How
Seattle.
about we do it again, same time tomorrow morning? I'll see you guys then. The Herd is on now. Have a good one.